It's happening! Literally a couple of hours ago, Riot started with all the Void teasing. And you know what that means? Let's spend more than 10 minutes talking about it. But jokes aside, there is actually a lot to talk about, so let's have a look at what Riot is planning. It all started with this image that appeared on Universe. Right now, if you go to Universe and you search for Kaisa's lore, you will see that her art was replaced with this. In this image, you can see that she became corrupted even more than before. In the top left, there are some Voidborn who were there before, but also there is this. This fish is a new one. This is most likely one of the fishy Voidborn which we have seen on the previous teasers during the roadmap. Now, there is nothing really to talk about when it comes to this image. The Voidy Empress is trying to take over Kaisa's body. That's it. However, Riot also has 2 video teasers for the Voidy Empress. But before we have a look at those, we need to talk about leaks. On this channel, I generally don't cover leaks because leaks kill hype. And if you believe that Riot is leaking stuff on purpose to start hype, no. We talked about this with a writer on our podcast, and Mordog even talked about it on his streams. Riot hates leaks, and they would never intentionally leak anything. However, the reason why I am going to cover the leaks today is because technically these are not leaks that someone found in an insider folder inside Riot's inner circle. What Riot did is that as they updated Kaisa's art on Universe, they also attached 2 links to the code. And both of these links lead to the 2 videos. So unfortunately, Riot officially leaked this themselves. The good news is, the official release for these videos was supposed to be in 4 days. So it's not that big of a deal. It's kinda like accidentally making a video public instead of scheduling it. So with this reasoning, let's have a look at the 2 videos. The first one, called The Eye of the Void, is about Vel'Koz. I'll first let the video play and then we talk about it.
Eye of the Void. Your watchers are incapable of understanding. I am the Void, and I will remake all of Runeterra.
So, it quite literally starts with a third eye on someone's forehead. On a female forehead. With a decently sexy face. I did promise that if it is a sexy champion, I would dedicate a video only to that topic, but for now, we can still hope. And here's the thing. It calls for the Eye of the Void, which is Vel'Koz, which by the way, Vel'Koz is in Tokogol, which is quite far away from Shurima, but sure, let's just pretend that the Empress is in connection with Vel'Koz somehow, but it says that the Watchers are not as powerful as Vel'Koz believes, which is strange because theoretically the Empress should be under the influence of the Watchers as well. She should be a spawn of the Watchers. So what we are dealing with here is a Voidborn who probably became sentient on its own and decided to separate from the Watchers. This is an interesting concept because we have not seen anything like this before. Most of the Voidborn are mindless. They are programmed to do only one thing: consume matter. Because the more they consume, the more data the Void gets. But there are also some clever Voidborn, such as Vel'Koz, where Vel'Koz knows his own purpose. He's flying around Tokogol, which is, you know, in the north, and he is gathering data so that he can then specifically bring it back to the Watchers. He knows what he is doing. He knows that he is gathering data for the Watchers, so that the Watchers can then make better and stronger Voidborn. So now having a Voidborn that is not sided with the Watchers? That is interesting. I just hope they can pull it off in a good way. Now, she then says, "I am the Void," and she shows a fish. Now, we have seen her sexy face, so I don't think this is her. I think this is actually just one of the swarmy fishies that she has around her. That's why more come in just a second. And the way Vel'Koz is kinda nervous there really feels like she is actually the enemy of the Void despite being a Voidborn. It's kinda strange. Once again, I really hope that Riot has a good way how to pull it off, but sure. The idea is pretty cool. And then it finishes with one last thing. Sexy eyes. Okay, there is actually one more thing. First of all, the music is awesome. Very eerie, very creepy, but also the text is not just your typical purple. It is purple with weird blue, and I think the weird blue is gonna be representing the new champion, so that the purple is the Void, the blue is the corrupted touch of the Empress. Even though the Void is the thing that's corrupting, but you know what I mean. What I'm trying to say is that it is a different color palette from just Void. Now, this video did have the attached date of May 16th to it, so this one released on time. But the second video we'll have a look at was supposed to be released on the 20th, so in 3 days from now. That's still fine. This one is called The Prophet of the Void. I think we all know who that's talking about, but first, let's have a look at it in its entirety and then we will talk about it.
My prophet, your Empress has arrived. Witness your reward. The end of everything.
Now this one is actually clever. It starts with revealing Malzahar, but in a really interesting way. First of all, you could see the little mind wave reaching him, and that's when he opened his eyes. This is basically showing us the fact that it was the Empress who showed Malzahar the visions, and not the Watchers. The reason why this is so cool is because you can see that Malzahar does not have his third eye. But you know who does have the third eye? She does. So this is kinda like her trademark at this point. It basically tells us that Malzahar has the third eye because of her influence, not because of the Watchers. And then it shows us this interesting shot. Now, despite this being a seemingly random setting, there is a lot of details here. First of all, I do believe that this is Kaisa for a really weird reason. You can see the little butterfly flying around her, which, coincidentally, might be the same butterfly shown in the corrupted splash art. But if the butterfly wasn't there, I wouldn't actually know that this would be Kaisa. The interesting thing to notice here is that she is holding a ship, which means that this is most likely some kind of a shipyard, which would mean that it is at the coasts, but also you can see the bigger ships with red sails behind her. Normally, I could guess that this was basically Icathia in the past, because the architecture is decently similar, but there is a reason why this may be closer to the present days. Here we can see that the Void is destroying the same ships that were in the shipyard. And you may remember from the last teaser that the first city to fall is supposed to be Belveth, which is a city that was never shown on the map. But I believe that's what this city was. And if we really wanted to get nerdy, if you look at the orientation of the sun disk, this should be somewhere in Icathia. Or if not, it is gonna be one of the corrupted coasts. Regardless, it is most likely south. And then it shows the ultimate plan of the Empress, which is to destroy everything. Now, since this is a vision of attacking the capital city, I hope Azir will be included in dealing with her. Besides that, there is not much to mention. There is a lot of fishies flying around. But remember, the sun disk is massive. These must be huge. And then it goes back to Malzahar, who still does not have his third eye. So this might actually be a scene from the past. This might be that time he traveled to Icathia, which is where he got the first vision. So yes, this is the moment he got corrupted not by the Watchers, but by the Empress. And then it goes back to the sexy face. So yes, overall I am just very happy stuff is finally happening. We've been waiting for the Void to do something for ages now, and I just hope Riot has it planned out. The idea of a Voidborn being so clever they just decide to separate from the Watchers is pretty cool. Now, having the Void attack itself might be a bit strange, but then again there is Kaisa. That's what Kaisa is doing. I still wonder what the butterfly was about though. With that said, it is interesting to see that the universe page only had 2 links. One to the video about Vel'Koz and one to the video about Malzahar. But what about the others? I'm not talking about Jax or Zillion, even though they really should be getting their own videos too. But what about Kassadin? Was his new splash art an accidental leak even before this? And on top of that, where is Rek'Sai? She's the one that everyone is focusing on, because the story did tell us that Rek'Sai will be her main enemy, not Vel'Koz. But still, it does look very interesting. So am I hyped? Yeah, kinda. But that face is making me nervous. Riot, I hope you know what you're doing.